there's some serious breaking news going on. What is going on with Silicon Valley Bank? Because I literally pulled up Twitter, and the first thing I see is Silicon Valley Bank got taken over by the Fed.
Mhm.
Well, federal regulators, FDIC. Apparently, this bank was close to going bankrupt. There was a bank run and lost most of its money because everybody was trying to take their money out at once. From where we're at right now, and obviously the news, is constantly being updated.
Mm-hmm.
But from where we're at right now, the problem is the FDIC only insures $250,000 per account.
Yeah.
They can't insure more than that. Right?
So that money's gone.
It's impossible. There's no way. Well, it's not gone, but the statistic was, or the stats showed that the accounts with less than $250,000 were less than 3% of accounts in SVB, which means that 97% of accounts had more than $250,000.
And a lot of these were startup tech companies, correct?
That is correct. In fact, most of the client book that made up Silicon Valley Bank was from tech startups.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind too, tech startups people hear the word startup, they think, oh, they're brand new. Well, yeah, they might have been quote unquote new, but you could be a tech startup and be 5 years in.
Mm-hmm.
You have like hundreds of employees, maybe even thousands, and still be considered a tech startup.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these companies had hundreds of employees, right? A lot of them aren't going to be able to pay their employees next week. So that's one of the biggest concerns, right? The Fed hasn't necessarily come out and said, hey, we're going to bail you guys out. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Like they did back in 2008, right? They bailed the banks out. Mind you, these were bigger banks like Bank of America.
Yeah.
One of the largest banks, right?
Yeah.
But when you talk about banks like Silicon Valley Bank, who the average person like you or I, or the middle class, we don't keep our money in Silicon Valley Bank.
Yeah.
Keep our money at Chase, Wells Fargo,
Bank of
America, federal credit unions.
Ross Bank. Yeah.
Ross Bank if you're in Austin. You don't keep your money in a bank that's known for tech startups. Mind you, Roku. You know Roku?
Yeah.
Streaming?
Yeah. Want to be Amazon Fire Stick?
I mean, they've held their own pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
They lost a lot of money after the pandemic on their stock, but they've held their own pretty well. Still relevant. Apparently, they had close to $500 million with Silicon Valley
in
Bank.
that bank.
Yes.
Holy shit. Basically all of their money.
Well, I think it was 500 out of close to $2 billion.
It's a quarter of their.
But I mean, come on. That's 25%.
Yeah.
Imagine having 25% of your total assets in one bank, and they're like, sorry,
don't have it no more.
we can't give it back to you. Now, I did do some digging. I'm new to this. I'm not going to act like I know exactly what's going on with our banking system. Because banks, I think, are very complicated at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
And they're intended to be, right? There's a lot of unknowns, and there's a lot of behind-the-scenes action that the average consumer does not know, right? The average American. So one of those things was that these banks, they take bets on the economic environment and where it's projected. In this case, Silicon Valley, they took a bet that interest rates wouldn't go up or as high as they are now, right? Obviously, we're fighting inflation like it's like the final boss, and we're like raising rates like crazy.
Yeah.
We're not done raising rates. The Fed has multiple meetings for the remainder of 2023. And when you look at the big picture, you're like, well, first off, we're not done raising rates. Second off, even if we were done raising rates, we're not going to be like, okay, guys, we're good. Inflation's gone. Time to lower rates. No. You hold rates at a ceiling where you understand and you see that inflation has been tamed
Mhm.
and it's no longer going up, right? Once inflation no longer is the problem, you start to lower rates, right? We're nowhere near that. You know, the fact that we're seeing collapses of banks with over 300 billions of dollars is honestly concerning. I don't know, and I am worried. I don't know where the economic environment is going, but I do know this. People are saying, "Oh, we're not in a recession yet. We're not in a recession yet, but we're gonna be." And it's like, I've been hearing this since last year.
Yeah. Can this be the the start, so to say, of the new recession? This bank collapsing, can this be the beginning mark? I guess banks. So from what I saw, banks collapse all the time. They banks not collapsing is kind of the in the minority here. Where the last 2 years, no banks have collapsed, but before that, there were several banks that collapsed in 2019 and 2018. And so these banks collapsing is not really as startling as it has been with this one. Granted, $300 billion is a lot of money. I mean, I guess I don't know what the total revenue of all these banks are, but 300 billion. I'm sorry. And I mean, is a pretty large bank. Sounds like.
Well, they were noted as the third largest bank in the U.S.
Really.
Yeah. So I think Lehman Brothers was close to 600 billion,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken. And Adrian, if you want to Google that when you're done with your break,
Come on, fact checker.
already micromanaging Adrian. Adrian, when you're done with your break, you mind Googling this?
You only get 1 5-minute break per episode.
I'm going to pull the Vince McMahon on him. Yeah, fat. Lehman Brothers. Can you spell that out for him?
LEHMAN.
Brothers.
And I hope you know how to spell brothers.
Yeah, just put how much were they worth?
Granted,
put
you have a brother.
How much was a bank worth? And this was back in 2008.
Mhm.
But you got it?
60 billion.
No, I don't think that's right. Because it was larger.
You said
than
this
that.
one was 300 billion. Well,
Yeah, it was.
what's 60 billion in today's money?
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, but okay.
In today's money, that's probably a good 150.
But I do remember seeing that it was larger than that. And honestly, like, dude, even because it's over, I think it was like close to 350 billion. But when you think about all that money and all those accounts and all those companies, and you think about like the possibility of them losing their money, right? Because keep in mind, less than 3% of accounts had less than $250,000, which is FDIC insured.
Mhm.
The FDIC can't do diddly squat about the rest of that.
The 97%.
Yeah, the 97%, which is like, oh, that's the whole bank, bro. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, not give these people my money back? Apparently, it takes years. It could take years to give that money back.
To hear the full episode, you can find us on every major podcast streaming service. Also, for more content like this, make sure you like and subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. You can find our links in the bio and in the description below. Stay tuned, and we can't wait to see you back at the shack.